realize that respect is not anointed, it is earned. I'm Rennie Detour from the Tribune Review.
I'm Brian Krasner from the Daily News.
Joining us this week is Tom Combetti to our right. Jim's not with us this week. It continues our string of absenteeism by this panel.
This week, Jim was the one who partaked? Forget it. He had some of the press buffet beforehand, and it didn't mix very well with
Yeah,
his
he's
beverage.
actually through this. You can't see it, but off screen there's a curtain that he's currently throwing up.
He's in triage.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But King of the Ring, Raw, we got lots of stuff to talk about, but we wanted to start off with a little, for us anyway, a humorous item. It was reported on the Ross Report 2 weeks ago that Chyna had been negotiating with the WWF about possibly renewing her contract. And Jim Ross said that the contract talks have stopped and that Chyna will not be re-signed. Her contract is up November 30th. And I don't know about you guys, but it was a long time coming. I think this was something that everybody knew was going to happen, considering that Chyna hadn't been on TV for the last few weeks. So the question being posed now by me is that can you live without Chyna in the World Wrestling Federation?
Well, actually, if we can stick around long enough, maybe we can extend this segment by 2 or 3 minutes in case you're late. I believe the cake and champagne is coming.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be the
As long as Jim isn't delivering it.
Well, anybody with a liability like Chyna with that bum neck she has, you don't want her in a ring anyway. But like you said, Rennie, a long time coming. As you referred to it, the Playboy curse, you have Rena Mero, and now, I don't even know, can she be referred to as Chyna after her WWF contract expires?
She just can't spell her name with a Y.
So she can be like Chyna.
I guess so.
The Red Chyna.
And I think probably even bigger than the fact that Chyna completely screwed herself out of a WWF contract is the fact that now you're starting to see what it's like with Vince McMahon owning the entire industry.
Yeah.
Whereas Chyna really has no bargaining power whatsoever. You can't jump to WCW, you can't jump to ECW, although that I would personally love to see Chyna wrestle in ECW. But I mean, this is the bigger story coming out of this is the fact that now you see what it's going to be like with Vince McMahon running everything. So, you know, maybe Chyna will do what Rena Mero couldn't, and that's act and, you know, make a living after wrestling. But
I'm sure that's going to happen.
But
I'll give Sable a little, or the Rena Mero, or the former Sable.
I think we're allowed to call her Sable, though.
What the hell?
Might be.
I'll give Rena Medic. I'll give Rena Mero credit, though. It took 2 Playboy covers for her to develop an attitude. Like, Chyna only had 1. So
yeah, well, I think she's got another one in the works from what I remember, and like it really matters anyhow.
Well, what about Hustler and magazines like that? Will they pick up on stuff like this after the WWF divas go astray?
Whoa! Chyna's controlling the lights.
That's our disco ball we put in last week.
That's right. I don't know if Chyna's going to go hardcore or not. She may have to. I don't see her having very many options, like you said, Rennie. I mean, there is no WCW. I mean, there's Hulk Hogan's big, massive blowout promotion that's coming up that to look forward to. But by that point, Chyna should be 98 pounds from the rate she's going.
Well, much like another former diva that got canned by the WWF, the Cat, maybe Chyna could hide behind trees naked and pose for pictures. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, but that was for Jerry Lawler's cut rate website, so, you know, that was important stuff. But, you know, Tom brings up an interesting point that actually Sable's second Playboy cover she did while she was having problems with the WWF. So actually Chyna is ahead of schedule, so to speak. She's going to do the Playboy cover. She's already been fired or will be fired by November 30th. So I don't know. I just think it's one of those things where, and it's hard to say this, but most of the women that you see in wrestling are replaceable. I mean, when Sable first, you know, had problems with WWF, and oh my God, what are they going to do when they lose Sable? Well, move on. Right. I mean, they can obviously find somebody else. It's not that big of a deal to lose Sable, and I really don't think it's a big deal to lose Chyna because, quite frankly, she doesn't have the look that she did, you know, when she was, you know, interesting to watch. And, you know, there's plenty of other more interesting women in the WWF right now or in the new WCW, so she won't be missed.
The one thing I'll say about Chyna, I mean, I've been as critical of Chyna as anybody. I mean, I guess to give her some credit on her way the hell out of this business is that she did revolutionize women's role in wrestling. I mean, she was the first woman to really get men to sell her offense, and she was the first to wrestle in the men's division, albeit badly. And she was the first woman to gain singles gold in the men's division, again, albeit badly. But you know, like you said, Rennie, she doesn't have her look anymore. After she did the Playboy cover, I mean, that all went to her head, and she stopped eating, and she's down to like 120 pounds. I mean, not 120, I'm exaggerating, but you know, she's lost all of her muscle, and she doesn't look unique anymore. Now she just kind of looks freaky, you know. And
yeah, I mean, I've been saying for the last, well, I don't even remember the last pay-per-view she was on. I think when she wrestled Lita for the women's title. I mean, she just has a very skinny body and a really giant head, and that peacock thing didn't help.
Oh God, who dressed?
But you know, again, you know, beating the point to death. But she is replaceable. I mean, Lita can obviously replace her, you know, and you know, you could go on with a host of others.
If the Peacock thing wasn't grounds for dismissal alone, I don't know what would be, but you have to wonder, contrary to the rumors that her and Hunter aren't an item anymore, or married, or brother and sister, depending on who you read, I wonder if this would have any effect on him, assuming that they're still an item.
I'm pretty sure they're not.
Really?
Yeah, most of what I've
this
read
week they're not anyway.
Well, I'm pretty sure Triple H and Stephanie got something going, but
well, you know what? One of the stories to elaborate on what Tom said was the fact that, you know, reason for their breakup, I guess, between Triple H and Chyna was the fact that Triple H was so into, you know, the wrestling business, and Chyna was kind of, you know, had outside interests, and, you know, that's fine. But it's one of those things where, and, you know, I hate to bring his name up with him over there, but The Rock's done a pretty nice job of kind of, you know, balancing the wrestling and the acting. So we'll see how that goes after the Scorpion King gets.
until Rock does Playgirl.
Well, until Scorpion King makes $300 million, you know, and or it could be another Waterworld. So, you know, we never know.
There could be another Waterworld.
Well,
you want to give Chyna a nice salute goodbye?
Well, yeah, I would like to, and I know you will too, Brian, after this. But I don't know if Howard the Duck 2's in the works, or possibly Red Sonja 5. But Chyna, I wish you, in the panel, obviously, wishes you all the very best, you know, come this November. I just hope you have a really nice Christmas, that's all, and I hope you saved your money. So, Brian, can you maybe...
Yeah, actually, Red Sonja's Sable's project.
Oh.
She was supposed to be working on a new Red Sonja.
Wouldn't that be cool, though, to have two former divas go at it for, like, well, I mean, you know, with swords and crap like that, not just actually go at it, but for the role of Arnold Schwarzenegger's, well, I can't say what I wanted to say, you know what I mean?
Well, she's going to be in Terminator 3, so, you know, she'll get a nice chunk of change from that, so...
Well, I guess for a closing comment on Chyna, I'll just say, because, you know, people think we're so negative anyway, the closing person review comment is, we told you.
Couldn't have said it better myself, and by the way, don't do Playboy. See ya. We'll be back next segment.
Welcome back to the show that local ring announcers stay up nights after nights without sleep, just trying to be just like us. Pro Wrestling Review. That wasn't too cocky. But anyway, we just got done watching Shane McMahon lose his life in a match at King of the Ring against Kurt Angle, and there's been a lot of criticism on the internet of that match, actually, because of the spot that you saw, and subsequently what happened right after that. As you saw, Kurt Angle tried to give Shane McMahon a belly-to-belly through a plate glass, I guess a window, that had the King of the Ring logo painted on it. But once he was actually finally put through it, and both him and Kurt rolled through the glass for a little bit and cut each other open, Kurt Angle again tried to throw him through the opposite end, and it took him 3 tries to do it that time. And they, again, rolled through glass for a while and cut each other up.
You know what makes me sad? They didn't incorporate glass in the Ahmed Johnson days. I would have loved to have seen an Intercontinental title match with him and Goldust where there was glass involved. Wouldn't that have been spectacular?
I'm sure there was glass involved in a lot of things Ahmed Johnson did, but, you know.
Well, yeah, but not in the ring.
Right.
You're also forgetting the fact that Ahmed Johnson's the same person that cut his hand open severely on a ring table or an announcing table, and I mean, where's there a nail sticking out of a plastic table at? But somehow he managed to find it. So,
you know, with you mentioning Ahmed Johnson, this is totally off the subject. But hey, whoever said I'm opening up the bag of weasels or whatever. But Ahmed Johnson will be playing Suge Knight in the upcoming VH1 biopic. That news is too perfect. So we'll come back to that, and we'll get back to Kurt Angle against Shane McMahon. I guess the criticism really is with a lot of the top guys out right now, like Triple H and Rock doing a movie, and Chyna, you know, career suicide, that you're going to need top guys like Kurt Angle to carry your product into the future, and having him roll on broken glass. What the hell is going on?
Anyway,
my burrito's done. Isn't really a great idea, but you know they went through with it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and just a few, like Dave Meltzer was one of the ones that said something about the fact that. You guys okay?
No.
Anyway, Dave Meltzer was one of the guys that was real critical of this match, saying, like you said, Brian, you need Kurt Angle to be healthy. And I mean, Kurt Angle's really not the kind of wrestler that needs to be doing these kind of matches.
Exactly.
And, you know, he makes a valid point, but just like with any criticism, he starts getting into things like, you know, WWF tries to condition kids not to do backyard wrestling, and but yet you go and do these spots over and over again. And I was like, well, you know, you do that as the match is going. That's a decision made by Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon, hopefully consciously, to continue to do that kind of stuff. So I think criticism there is kind of like a moot thing. You just kind of go with what the match is, you know, how it's going.
These critics got to realize that there's a certain element of risk in any type match, whether it's like an Ivory Chyna squash. You know, Ivory did get hurt in that squash, or like you saw with Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon. Chris Benoit is undergoing surgery, I believe, later this week or last week, depending on when you watch this, for numbness in a tricep muscle. It's just years of wear and tear in the ring. He didn't go through a plate glass window or a flaming table, just wear and tear.
Yeah.
So Dave Meltzer, think about that.
Well, the other thing too that when he brings up, well, they keep doing these moves over and over again. How's it? Backyard wrestlers are going to learn from this. Well, backyard wrestlers are going to learn whenever they do punches over and over in the ring, and suplexes over and over in the ring, and chair shots over and over. So I don't really see what the difference is. Yes, it was a little bit more risky, but I think to say that was going to, fan the flames of backyard wrestling is ridiculous. I mean, I realize most of those kids have no brains to begin with, but
including our own Timmy Rock, I believe. So
yeah.
But the thing is, though, with Dave Meltzer, he does, the basis of his rant, I guess you could call it, is a valid one.
Right.
The fact that, with injuries, you don't need someone like Kurt Angle being out there. So, he makes a decent point.
Mm-hmm. It just didn't have enough material to make it long enough, so I had to add the backyard.
So, well, you got to do something. But, of all the matches, though, that one was the one that was most entertaining. And I think if you go ahead and watch that match, then you watch the main event, it kind of took away from the main event in the sense that fans thought they saw something spectacular, which they did in Shane McMahon versus Kurt Angle. I almost forgot his name. That'd have been good.
Yeah, but you have two different styles of matches here.
Right, but I mean, you have to understand, like, you just saw guys go through plate glass windows and Olympic slam off the top of, a cutting board. So it's one of those things where can you really get into it?
For the wrestling fans out there who don't shave yet, they probably would have loved the Kurt Angle Shane McMahon match. But for
that's
the
my
wrestling
point.
purists, okay.
That's the point.
Make your point.
Well, here you go. The point is that it took away from the main event because then you kind of went on into something. I don't want to say it's rudimentary, but kind of was. It was a three-way match with two great wrestlers in Austin who's really stepped it up lately. So you have to wonder if it took away from some of the crowd heat.
Yeah, I think it did, and I think your point's right, Rennie. I think people are preconditioned to respond to certain things, and I think New Jersey, which was one of the worst pay-per-view crowds I've heard in several years, and I don't think they should do pay-per-view there anymore. I don't care if they sold 20,000 fans in the Continental Airlines Arena. I wouldn't do it again. And it's for that reason, because the fans are preconditioned to cheer the ECW spots. New Jersey's an ECW territory, per se, and that is all the things that they got hot for. They got hot for the big spots that night. But when Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho and Steve Austin wrestled a pretty decent three-way dance, there was nothing. When Edge won the King of the Ring tournament, they popped for the Impaler, and that was it. When he beat Rhino, it was the same thing. When Rhino speared the buckle and they knew a finish was coming, they cheered that. But they weren't cheering good work, and that's the problem. That's, I think, is where you run into whenever you do things like what Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon did. It's great, and it's fun to watch and everything, and as long as the guys come out okay, that's all well and good, but you don't want the fans to be conditioned to only be cheering for that, because then exactly what they did in the main event is going to seem like it was rudimentary.
Mm-hmm. But we're going to come back and we're going to get into a little bit more of the specifics about the King of the Ring tournament itself and more in the main event. So please stay tuned.
Always, we just keep on rolling. No Fred Durst and copyright infringement there. But still like to talk a little bit about King of the Ring. And we were talking last segment, obviously, about the Shane McMahon-Kurt Angle match overshadowing not the pay-per-view.
Yes.
Actually, it ruined the pay-per-view because there was too many uncalled spots and unnecessary spots, which I would technically agree with. Angle isn't in a position to be doing something like that. But hey, it was a good match. I liked it. But did we talk about the main event last segment? I wasn't here. Let's just talk about some of the.
Briefly.
I'd like to bring up some of the other matches. You have the light heavyweight match, which I actually thought Jerry Lynn still had the light heavyweight title, so I got all excited when this would be a light heavyweight title match. Yeah. So for for a Jeff Hardy X-Pac light heavyweight match, just being thrown out there, the match wasn't that good.
Jerry Lynn must have wrecked a rental car or something.
No, he cut that 180s promo, like a Megadeth promo. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No one does that these days. So
that's why.
But hey, it's original, kind of,
Well, the one thing I can't understand for the life of me is the fact that when I reviewed SmackDown for last week preceding the pay-per-view, they announced real quick that Jeff Hardy was fighting X-Pac for the light heavyweight title. This is a billion-dollar company. You can't throw up a graphic of these two guys and say that they're wrestling. No one listens to Michael Cole anyway. I know I don't. I turned the sound down on the TV, so when he said that, I missed it. So I was at a loss.
Hey,
the match happened.
I think we got to give Michael Cole a little credit, though. When Austin ripped his shirt off and beat the living hell out of him, he did have a tattoo on his arm.
It was a hot air balloon.
Yeah, but no man can get a tattoo because tattoos are tough, and tough people get tattoos, and you know how that goes.
Stereotype segment.
Yeah. Well, just sticking with the main event. Sticking with the main event right now. I don't know. It was a decent match, actually. All three guys worked pretty hard. I wasn't crazy about the finish, and I don't know. Chris Jericho, for all his pluses, his minuses always seem to outweigh them. And this match, I think, was evidence of that. There was a point in the match when Booker T made his big debut and threw Austin through a table where he was out, and Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho had about 5 minutes to themselves where they just had the chance to tear the house down. And maybe you can give Benoit a little bit of credit because he did have the neck injury and he's going to be out for surgery, so give him a little bit of slack. But Jericho, boy, I tell you, I don't know. It's maybe time to show off the lion salt because he probably executed the worst lion salt of his career during that heavyweight title match. And you know, I mean, there's a lot of really good wrestlers. Like Triple H barely does any aerial maneuvers, and it doesn't take away from his game. And same with The Rock, and same with a lot of other guys. Same with Steve Austin. Those guys don't do a lot of aerial stuff, and it's okay because they're good enough at telling a story and good enough at doing other things. Do what you do well.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. I've always been a big fan of Jericho. I thought, you know, like again, everybody says he's sloppy, he's too goofy. I think he's come a long way to you know, kind of discount those stereotypes.
Yeah.
But my biggest problem with this main event was the fact that it should have been a singles match from the beginning.
Oh, sure.
I don't think that I just don't like watching three-way matches. I think they take away from everybody that's in them. I didn't really care for the finish either, and it was more so from the fact that I don't think Austin should have won because let's face it, he wrestled Jericho, he wrestled Benoit, and you knew there was going to be tension between those two guys.
Right.
I mean, it's a given. Then Booker T comes out and interferes and buries him through a table, and he still wins. Right. And you know what,
and
Jim
no
Ross.
Vince.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. And Jim Ross will say he's the luckiest man. You know, I'm tired of hearing that. There is just no way that this Steve Austin, who's been a great heel character, can actually be thought of as a heel because he does things that are more like babyface oriented, like coming through and beating three different guys. So that's the real problem I had, but I do see your point with Jericho. But again, with this Austin thing, if he's not ready to lose it to anybody, you know, I guess that's okay since his character's entertaining. But
well, the other thing too is I don't mind that they kept the belt on him, but you're right, it would have been better in a singles match because the way they've apparently positioned this WCW WWF feud now is Booker T's their champ, Steve Austin's their champ. And if that's the case and they're both heading up each promotion's part of the war, then yeah, he's got to have the belt. But that's where maybe just having Jericho or just having Benoit in the main event would have made more sense because you don't, you know, it's not two guys.
Well, there was a graduation party that day, so naturally I don't remember half of King of the Ring. All I remember is Edge, like you said, hitting the Impaler, the crowd popping for that one move, and Edge being crowned king. Where was the coronation at?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really struggling here for stuff.
That's Ray Bork lending the Stanley Cup the next night for the.
I love that though. They got all the names on the King of the Ring
actually,
Cup
that was
now.
cool.
Mabel. Does it say King Mabel or just Mabel?
It probably just
says Mo.
Tiny.
An ass man.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. I kind of like that. You know, if they come out every year and they get this trophy, just sort of reminds me of Japan a little bit, I guess. You know.
But those trophies actually mean something over.
Well,
Japan.
yeah, they do. But I mean, how long is it going to be till Christian whacks him with the trophy? But I'm sorry, that'll be too predictable.
yeah, Brian, what's wrong with you? Don't ruin it for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't do a very good job with the tournament this year. And there was a lot of people whining that the 4 guys left were all heels, and so there was nobody for the crowd to get behind. I mean, I guess. But they really had Edge positioned as a babyface, and the way they booked him through that whole tournament was designed for people to get behind him. But my problem is they downplayed the importance of the tournament. I didn't care who was in it. I thought the 4 guys in it were fine. But you know, when you send the King of the Ring finals 4 matches out during the pay-per-view, and it's like Edge wins and then it's an afterthought, you know, I wonder why people don't take this tournament very seriously.
But again, you know, and this isn't me, you know, I guess tooting my own horn, but Edge selling the injury, being the babyface, selling the injury in the finals, it happens every year.
Yeah.
Try something new. Last year, Rikishi stubbed his toe and the tournament was ruined.
Yeah, but you're forgetting one important thing. X-Pac the year before Rikishi selling the injury. Edge won, and he was selling the injury.
Right.
Well, that's true.
So, little incongeniality there. Let's make up new words.
It's a nice push for Edge, though. I mean, I think it really is his time now. I mean, not to be a main eventer, let's not go nuts, but you know, especially just from watching him on Raw, the way he carried himself and the way he just shot back at Billy Gunn during the promo, he really is starting to come into his own. And I can see the people now who are saying the WWF is more confident in Edge than Christian. You can definitely see that they're on different levels. And I think it is time for Edge really to get that big, strong singles push. And for Christian too, but for Christian to be behind him and kind of learning maybe more that European title level and to get the experience.
We've said before on this show, though, that Christian handles himself more like a heel and Edge more like a babyface. I think Christian, again, he cuts stronger promos than Edge, but I guess Edges have just come with time. But again, going back to the SmackDown before King of the Ring, if you watch the opening segment with Edge, Rhino, Kurt Angle, and Christian, Edge carries himself like a main eventer. He's able to deliver promos that are decent. I mean, compared to when the Brood was still hanging out, those atrocities. But
still though, while Edge is being pushed as possible main eventer or on the main event level, one time when he's cutting a promo, I just want to hear Gangrel's music kick on for 2 seconds, just so Edge can say, "What the hell was that?" Wouldn't that be great?
You really have a hang up on Gangrel, don't you?
No, I just have a hang up on his music. It's not his fault he can't talk.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah, we shouldn't get into that. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about WCW's invasion of Madison Square Garden, and we'll do that after this.
Not actually. This is Pro Wrestling Review Trivia once again, and I'm back here where I belong to introduce it, so without any further ado, I'm tired of saying ado, so just read the answers.
Okay, we had questions this week, and we also got answers, but anyway.
That's great.
It's a natural progression.
Yeah.
First question, name at least 2 first-round matches from the 1993 King of the Ring. The winner put Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon and Mr. Perfect versus Mr. Hughes, which was correct. Who did Jerry Lawler wrestle against in the 1996 King of the Ring? And the answer was the Ultimate Warrior. The finals of the 94 King of the Ring were Owen Hart versus Razor Ramon. And last week's question, who was known as the Stalker in the WWF a few years ago? It was Barry Windham in 1996. This week's winner, Scott Hill from McKeesport, PA, who, amazingly enough, knew the answer to the 4th question on Friday, even though this show doesn't air on Saturdays. So, Scott, email us and tell us how you did that, and then we'll send you your coupon.
That's the Pro Wrestling Review spoilers that Bob Ryder
Yeah, well, Ryder's at the door now. Beat him down.
Get out of here, fatty. Anyway, to Scott, you win a voucher from Pizza Works for 1 large pie, an order of chicken wings, and a 2-liter bottle of carbonated beverage. I say this every week, and every week I just stumble over it, but that's okay. You can redeem that coupon at any of their 3 outlets, Dravosburg, Finleyville, or Jefferson Hills. Eat the pizza. We did it, King of the Ring.
And let's go into the question this week, which I don't know how to word it, so go ahead, Brian.
Well, this is more of an essay question, so there's really no way to get this one wrong. There actually is if we don't like your answer.
Points will be awarded for creativity.
We've selected 3 people. Chyna, Road Dogg, who's the third one?
I don't know.
We've selected 2 people, Chyna and Road Dogg.
Chyna and Road Dogg. We want you to write us an essay of who's going to do more with their life now that their wrestling careers are over.
Post-WWF days.
Yes, post-WWF. The most creative answer, the one that makes us laugh the hardest, we are going to give you the voucher next week. So please be creative and, do whatever you have to do to get to that level.
No cussing, please. We get too much of that on this show, though. Creativity only.
Right.
Well, answer the 3 questions on the website and try to answer this one from the show. www.prowrestreview.com is the website, or you can send it to prowrestreview@mailcity or lycos.com. I don't know why I just did this.
And if you can answer it on Thursday, that'd be great.
Yeah, so good luck, and we hope to hear from you. Saw that coming a mile away. But in all seriousness, we wanted to talk a little bit about Raw. And, the WWF kind of built this up to be one of the bigger Raws of the year, obviously from Madison Square Garden. Vince McMahon showed up first to talk about the, what Madison Square Garden means to him and, of course, his father. And they proceeded with somewhat of an invasion show, and it's obviously been hit with a lot of criticism by not having enough WCW interaction, which defeats the purpose of trying to make WCW profitable. But why look at that kind of stuff? Let's just throw everybody out there, including Chuck Palumbo, on a sky coaster. I don't know. Did somebody take this away from me?
Yeah, I don't know what people expected. I don't know if they thought, they were going to secretly sign Goldberg and he was going to come in and spear the whole company or what it was. But, it's just so funny because I put a column up on my section of the website this week, actually, about how all these internet writers, it's just like the level of hypocrisy is ridiculous because it's the same thing. They say, well, they dropped the ball. There wasn't enough. It was Madison Square Garden. It should have been bigger. But if they would have drawn everybody from the WCW roster out there at once, they would have said, what are they going to do now? Now they've played all their cards. Yeah, okay, they had Raw at Madison Square Garden on Monday. But the thing that all these brilliant internet writers who know everything about wrestling never point out is they had SmackDown taping in Madison Square Garden the next night. So are you going to do everything on Raw and then everything on SmackDown be old? No, you want people to watch SmackDown. So now people are going to know that SmackDown's in the Garden. They're going to say, well, if they showed up Monday, they're going to show up Thursday. It's not that hard to figure out.
One of the better moments on the show for me, anyway, was the discussion led by the APA, kind of uniting the troops, if you will. Even though Steve Blackman was there, don't understand why. He should be killed.
Was he?
Yeah, he was standing there. He had like a Tough Enough shirt on.
I didn't even notice him.
But it's just something you don't see in this day and age with wrestling. You don't see the heels with the faces unite for like company camaraderie, I guess I could say. Just a little nice touch. So it's more or less, it's not the heel WCW or the heel WWF versus the other. It's just promotion versus promotion. You're going to have heels from both groups, faces from both groups, going at it. You understand what I'm competing against one another, wrestling in matches, those things they call rings. Just a nice touch, though. It just eliminated the possibility of, the WWF's the heel and WCW's the face.
Well, that's one good thing to come out of Diamond Dallas Page showing up on Raw 2 weeks ago is the fact that he made it known that WCW was going to have some heel wrestlers by attacking The Undertaker. Mm-hmm. Another point that I want to make, and this goes back to the internet writers, one of them said that the Mike Awesome showing up would elicit more ECW chants than anything else. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know if this person is bitter because WCW fired him because they were bankrupt, but this is the most, I don't even want to say who wrote it, because it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever read in my life. It's just complete trash.
This is the point I made about it actually on the column that I just mentioned, is that, I think, and we'll say it was Bob Ryder. It comes out and talks about how, people equate Rhino and Mike Awesome with ECW, so it had no effect. You're the same moron who, 3 months ago when Rhino debuted said, they can't say he's an ECW champion because nobody knows who ECW is. Well, it's one or the other. Do people know who they are? Do they not know who they are? Pick one. I'm sorry they didn't want to give you a job, but, Lord God. Rhino is associated with the WWF. He's been here for 3 months. Mike Awesome was the WCW last time. Remember it was a big deal when he left ECW?
Oh, was that the guy?
Yeah, that's him.
The long hair that attacked Kevin Nash while he was giving one of those scintillating promos.
Another thing you bring up about the criticism of Raw last night, it was why was Booker T, he was on the pay-per-view the night before, why was he the one to attack McMahon? Well, as we discussed on the way down here, Booker T did more last night attacking McMahon, getting credibility, getting the rub from McMahon than he did in his entire WCW tenure, besides wrestle really good matches when no one else was. Yeah. So Booker T right there, just from attacking McMahon, is WCW's #1 and top star.
Exactly. And it's not that hard to figure out, but
I realize that, but a lot of people, it's over their heads, and they want to analyze what he was wearing. He was wearing white pants, so that makes him a face. But yet he attacked a bad guy, so that still makes him a face. But McMahon came out to a pop at the beginning of Raw, so McMahon's a face. Help me!
He's drowning over there, but just to touch on.
I'm being obviously a little not lewd,
but it's a good point because that's how people, when these internet experts look at things, they have to go into every single small detail. And this is one of the points I brought up, just joking around, was the fact that when Shane McMahon walked out on the last segment when Vince was in the ring, they had WCW logos on the rampway, and I was waiting for one of these internet writers who overanalyze everything to say, well, how did Shane McMahon get those lights there? Did he talk to the production crew? Did he talk to the lighting guy? They should have showed something with that. Some things just happen. Let's just leave it at that. But my actual point was about Booker T. I really like the fact that he updated his look. Yeah. He really starting to carry himself like a main eventer, and Tom brought up a great point. The fact that him just interacting with Vince McMahon and Steve Austin, that's more than, not taking anything away from guys like Scott Steiner that he wrestled in WCW, but he did more last Monday than, he did in 7 years, like Tom said, so.
Yeah, the whole statement was Booker T was, blocks away at WWF New York, and Steve Austin thought it was important enough to leave Madison Square Garden and to go over there to confront him. And that puts him on the same level, because, if Booker T wasn't important, he would have just said, screw him, he's the WCW champ, let him sit there. But no, it was important enough for him to get into traffic and to go over there and for him and Kurt Angle to go over and take care of the WCW guys. I don't know.
Another point made by McMahon and the announcers last night was no WCW wrestler ever entered Madison Square Garden.
Right.
So to speak, the ring. And Mike Awesome, he won the title. If you really want to get down to brass taxes, he won the title, the hardcore title, outside in the whatever the hell, the runway or whatever, the backstage area. Booker T was the first WCW wrestler to enter Madison Square Garden in a WWF ring.
Well, I guess actually Dallas Page would have been, because he was.
Brian, you ruined it because I was on a roll.
I'm sorry.
Well, you bring up Dallas Page thinks he's with the WWF.
But he didn't get into the ring, so you're technically right.
It's still the point's moved.
I was trying to help you.
I know, I appreciate it, but you ruined me.
Well, I was going to say you bring up Dallas Page. Maybe we can save him for the next segment. We'll talk a little bit about his feud with The Undertaker, which started 2 weeks ago, and they had a little bit at the King of the Ring. So We're going to hold off on that unless there's anything else you guys want to say.
Yeah, one more thing about Booker T is that
there's always time for Booker.
there's always time for him. Like Tom mentioned about how people were upset that Booker T was the guy again on Raw. You also got to take into account that not everybody bought the pay-per-view. So for the people who didn't get to see the pay-per-view, now they got to see Booker T in the WWF, and they showed that little clip during the show, before he actually showed his face on Raw, that said, well, if you missed King of the Ring, then you missed the debut of the WCW champion. A, making the pay-per-views worth buying, and then B, for the people who didn't buy the pay-per-view, they got to see Booker T a night later.
Can you say encore?
And there you go.
Not the Pace channel, or the health thing. But anyway, we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about Raw, including our favorite, Diamond Dallas Page. Stay tuned.
Hope you're enjoying the show.
Damn it, I hate this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, this show sucks.
It's horrible, and it needs.
Oh God, the camera's on.
Yeah. Oh man, he's got to let us know those things. Well, we talked about Diamond Dallas Page before we went to the break, and about his current feud with The Undertaker.
Horrible.
And yeah, just another thing where nobody's satisfied. But actually, the whole interaction between Undertaker and Dallas Page at King of the Ring wasn't very good. It was decent until they both got into the ring with each other, and then things just kind of fell to hell. But I think they did a decent job on Raw by kind of giving Dallas Page his heat back after making him look like a wuss the night before. Taking Undertaker out with 2 chair shots and pulling off Sarah's, I don't know what that
hair
was.
extension.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things they did wrong with the King of the Ring confrontation was it lasted too long. I think a lot of people were probably expecting Page to show up, maybe blindside The Undertaker, beat on him for about 30 seconds, and have not Page, but The Undertaker just run him out. This lasted for 8 minutes?
Yeah, it was
that's,
too long.
To me, given the storyline between the two, Undertaker should just, beat him up for a little bit and then let him run.
Yeah.
But it lasted way too long. That was the biggest problem.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it wasn't very spirited brawling either. Where one guy, if somebody was stalking my wife and I was getting into a fight with him, I wouldn't be plotting punches,
Taker calling a backdrop spot. It's
But this also deals with the fact that Undertaker was selling some of his offense. That Dallas Page, well, if he was actually stalking his wife, would he sell his offense? I mean, it's one of those things. It's one of those muddled storylines where fiction does become reality. That's one of the internet writers talking here. I was channeling them.
Isn't it true he writes some of our cue cards, which is why we're so anal and
Well, that's why
hated?
that's why all the sentences are in fragments.
That's right. That's true. I'm glad you pointed that out. But there's this story obviously has just started to be told, and it's going to go through into Invasion. Whether they're going to have a one-on-one match or whether they're going to be involved
Brian, it's
in
not
this.
called Invasion yet.
Fully loaded. I'm sorry. In your house,
Just
whatever.
ruined it.
Stephanie Wine will be giving away a
Wrestling
house.
classic.
Yeah, beware of dog, or whatever they call that one.
Whether they're going to fight one-on-one or whether it's going to culminate into this big rumored WWF versus WCW tag match, only Vince McMahon knows that answer. So,
Well, getting back to the Dallas Page thing, he did appear the next night on Raw, and much to the dismay of the internet writers, it was completely horrible the way he acted. The cowardly heel, imagine that, hitting the guy, hitting the face from the back, getting the better of him, attacking his wife. But, that was crap. He shouldn't have done that. He should have killed both of them, I think. I think that's what they would have wanted to see anyway. What the hell was a heel supposed to do?
Maybe they wanted him to ride that Titan bike backwards off the stage. Who knows?
Randy, we're complaining again.
The thing is, well, it's complaining, but it's constructive. Well, we're offering suggestions. We're trying to be nice guys about the whole thing, so... Well, I was anyway.
This is the thing that confused me about this whole angle. When the hell did they put steps on the side of the Titantron stage? Did you notice Dallas Page went down the steps?
Did you notice he had trouble going down the steps? It looked like he was
didn't know.
cross Solomon skiing down those steps.
Well, add Page to the injury report, who twisted his knee on the way down the steps. But
He'll be out 6 months.
one of the other big things from Raw, though, was the obviously, I don't want to call it a coronation because it kind of wasn't, but we again saw Edge, and he was confronted by someone we haven't seen in a while for obvious reasons, maybe because his the one shirt isn't selling. But
I'm going to rant on him, so keep comments to a minimum on him.
Billy Gunn, I love you. There, I'm done.
Yeah. There's not much you can say that can mask our venom for this man, so
Venom?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We'll let Tom talk about that in the next segment. But,
Billy Gunn looks like he works at the Pizza Hut buffet. I mean, not from build alone.
Probably does.
He just seems like one of those people you'd ask a question to, you get a one-word answer.
Yeah.
You won King of the Ring, Edge. Yeah, I did. That's great. I mean, I want to feud with you, Edge. Damn you.
You know what's funny about Gunn? And he does
Bang.
this. Yeah. He does this all the time. Is he cut a good promo at King of the Ring when he was at WWF New York, and he was on his way to a good one on Raw Monday, and then he got in the ring and just
Completely sucked the hell out of it.
Yeah. You know, he just...
One thing I did notice about Billy Gunn, I wanted to say this for the rant. Every time he gives an interview, the microphone's shaking like this. Yeah. I don't know if he's nervous or what. Have some faith in your lines, bro.
Yeah.
Bro. We're on a DDP kick here.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Richie Sambora, why don't you just finish up this segment right here?
Yeah, well, this was a whatever T-shirt, but I actually had to paint over the words, but you know, because me and Paige are both from New Jersey, so.
See, it's Paige and I'm not writing his cue cards.
That's right.
Okay. I'm sorry, I see that right now, but well, that pretty much recaps Raw, unless anyone wants to add
the announcer turned wrestler turned announcer again came out to a thunderous ovation, probably the loudest ovation of the night, but no one was listening. So
hey, that may be my rant topic, so be careful.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Who do you wrestle? Oh, we might want to bring up the fact that the RTC is officially dead. Stevie Richards was wearing a black Stetson shirt, not a white Stetson shirt, so the angle is dead.
But I guess the only thing else to come out of Raw was at the Big Show. I guess he's kind of moving back towards the comedy character, which with the T-shirt and hello, Stevie.
Yeah. This Stevie Richards figure does not drop its pants in public. But I'll tell you at the break. Actually, the Big Show T-shirt was really funny.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, and again, I think that's the way you have to go with the Big Show. I think he has to be a comedy type character who can snap. And I really hate using that word, but it's who can snap at any minute.
Yeah. What's funny, after sticking Trish Stratus, whatever the hell, I don't even know if they call her by her last name anymore, with Steve Blackman getting no response from Blackman whatsoever, they stuck her with Big Show. And from the exchanges on Raw this past Monday, it looks like they have a little bit of chemistry going on between the two. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's just down here.
That's why I said go ahead.
Yeah, I know. That was very nice of you. Until now. But one of the things is, the biggest thing is Big Show has a personality. Steve Blackman doesn't.
Oh, he has a personality.
Well, all of a sudden now,
wow.
the Blackman president of the fan club is showing through.
That of a sewer rat. You know, they make weird noises from time to time.
Oh, well, speaking of sewer rats, we're going to come back. We're going to do rants. You're going to be watching. So please,
you too, Hank.
Stay tuned. I'm used to him leading things off.
Just say I hate Paul Heyman.
Yeah, Paul Heyman sucks. ECW sucks. Rhino sucks. Tess sucks. I can't go through the whole list right now, but
that's right.
It's about a mile long. But anyway, I'm going to focus my rant topic this week on the WWF's new reality show, Tough Enough. And I watched the first episode. Well, actually, I watched the first 3 episodes, but I'm not allowed to tell you guys that. But I watched the first episode, and I was really impressed with it, as were the mainstream media critics. And I think the biggest thing about Tough Enough that separates it from other reality shows that is actually based on reality. I mean, the reality is you can go to wrestling school and you can learn how to do this stuff, and it's actually hard work. I'm not going to reveal who it is, but in the 3rd episode, one of the guys who I thought would be a legitimate contender actually drops out because he doesn't like the idea of having life on the road. I'll let you guys watch that for yourself. But when you compare it to other reality shows, I'm going to use Survivor for an example, this latest one. And I know everybody loves Survivor. It's a great, whatever. But, there's nothing real or there's nothing reality-based about people being on an island. Did you ever think for 1 second that these people were anything bad was going to happen to them? No. What you didn't see during commercial breaks was them flying like McDonald's cheeseburgers in by the droves to feed these people. It was the biggest contrived thing that I've ever seen in my life, and everybody loves it because it's human interaction. These are real people. These are real people talking and, eating snakes and stuff like that. And the thing is, if I want human interaction, I'll go sit at the food court at the mall. That's enough for me. I don't need to waste an hour watching these people who, now they're going to start casting. They're going to start casting people. Oh, I want to be a model. I want to be, whatever, this and that. And to me, it's ridiculous. If you want to get down to it, Tough Enough is based on reality. The reality is you can go to school, you can be a wrestler. What these kids are going through is reality. So for my money, Tough Enough is the true reality TV show out there right now.
Well, just building off the Tough Enough theme then, one of the stars of Tough Enough actually is Taz, one of the trainers. And Taz in the first episode was great just because there was a segment where one of the girls who was a contestant fell asleep, and he just came in and ripped her apart. I believe, how many times did he use the F word during the first show? I don't even remember, but I think the one thing about this show that I think is really going to help Taz is it's really going to bring his personality out. And yes, I know you're probably sitting at home thinking, well, he's been a commentator for a year. How has he not shown his personality? He has. But That's not true Taz. That's not the real Taz that if you gave him a push as a wrestler, you're going to see. But I think on Toughen Up it is, because he's sort of getting a little bit of that, the attitude back, and the cockiness back, and the, you're not going to screw with Taz attitude back, which is great. And that's when Taz is at his best. And I think you've already started to see the evidence of people getting behind him, evidence of which was Monday night on Raw. And okay, sure, he was in New York City, his hometown, when he came out and killed Stevie Richards in like 20 seconds. But it's things like that that's going to get Taz over with the general public. And I think after this show runs 13 weeks and people get to see what this guy's like, and gets to see this guy brutalize these kids who think that they can, just walk off the street and be a wrestler, people are going to get behind him. So I think that, not right now, but when Tough Enough is really hitting its stride and starting to end, the WWF's got to jump on this and start giving Taz the push that we've been talking about for a year and a half. Yeah, he's done a good job as a commentator. I know some of us, I know Ren, you're not as crazy about him. I think he's okay. And that's going to be his career once he's done in the ring. But now is his time to be in the ring. So once Tough Enough hits its stride and starts getting to its conclusion, it's time to jump on the Taz bandwagon, give him the push he deserves, let him have the ball and run with it, because I think he's going to.
And as I alluded to earlier, my rant will be on Sweet Billy G, Ass Man, Billy Gunn, Rockabilly, whatever the hell else they called him in his WWF tenure. He was a 7-time champion, tag team champion at that, or whatever. But the fact of the matter that you put Billy Gunn out there because he has nothing else to do against the newly crowned King of the Ring Edge is a travesty. I realize Ken Shamrock is other places. The Rock is making 3 movies right now as we speak. Mabel's dead. And just other King of the Ring, obviously you're not going to have Bret Hart appear on Raw. So let's go with Billy Gunn. Let's have, it's something that WWF is known for. Let's have an old champion versus new champion. It's not even a title, it's a cup. We could basically call it the Conti Cup. It means about as much as that. But like I said, the interaction between Edge and Billy Gunn was priceless on Edge's part, just completely insulting Billy Gunn. I don't know if it was just like a worked shoot, even though that's, I'm being an internet writer right now. But Edge's comments towards Billy Gunn were absolutely priceless. And the best one that caught my ear was, how the hell did it go? I'm trying to get the proper wording. But it was something to the effect of, if I'm at WWF New York in 2 years, not main eventing like you were last night, I will kill myself. Which is true. This is the same Billy Gunn who, remember when he wrestled Chris Benoit, nearly killed him because he didn't know how to press slam him and properly throw him on his back? That's Billy Gunn. It's time to release Billy Gunn. We've been saying this for months and months on this show. It's truly time. Don't give him a second chance. He doesn't deserve one. If anything, stick him in the new WCW. Have him on Tough Enough. You can show these kids who actually drop out or want to drop out, you could be like Billy Gunn. I want to stay in, I'm sorry. Billy Gunn, you never were, you never was. I'm just trying to come up with something that rhymes with was. You get the point. Billy Gunn, no more. I'm happy.
They should make Billy Gunn go through the training. I think Gracie and Taz punk him out.
Who came up with that nickname, The One? Did he do that? Well, let's see, The One. We can't call me The Two.
One and Gunn rhyme, so I think that was the marketing strategy behind that.
Am I the only one who realized his brother Bart peaked when he should have peaked? He got the crap knocked out of him by Butterbean. At least he left. Billy Gunn's just lingering on like a cold that won't quite go away when you have iron lung.
I thought he was dead.
Oh, that was a wonderful punch. But anyway, I think I'm done with my rant.
Oh, and here comes my second rant. If you want to read my column, you can pick it up on the newsstands tomorrow, or you can read it on the web. It's www.triblive.com/sports. The radio show is the Ryan Patrick Show. It's an ESPN Wheeling affiliate, 1370 AM, every Monday, 5 o'clock. And just to clarify, I don't hate Taz.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean that. I meant you weren't as nuts about him as a commentator.
Exactly, because he should be wrestling now.
Yeah,
That's what he was hired for, It's like hiring, the hell with it. I was going to throw Michael Cole in there, but he speaks for himself.
Michael Cole should be working at a poolside, putting chlorine in the water and testing the pH, not commentary.
He should be testing the pH by drinking it.
My column is Sharpshooter. You can read it in the Daily News. It's on newsstands everywhere right now, or you can check it out on the internet at www.dailynewsmckeesport.com.
And for all you trivia buffs out there, the address is www.prowrestlingreview.com. And once again, this week's question: out of the 2 people that are, in recent memory, that have been released by the WWF, that being the Road Dogg and Chyna, please send us an essay-filled answer of who will accomplish more in their post-WWF life, if you will. Please be creative. And can you clarify that? Maybe dumb down my words a little bit?
Well, the 2 names are Road Dogg and Chyna, but we've added 2 more as the show's gone on.
Oh my God!
We're going to add Brian Christopher and the Cat. So if you can come up with who is going to be the most successful now that their WWF career is over with, and what are they going to do? Make it as creative as possible. Please don't get vulgar, because that doesn't mean creative. Make it as creative as possible, and if it makes us laugh, then you win pizza.
Well said. And I guess that's it.
Yep, that is it.
So, hey, go to the website, prowrestlingreview.com. Check out all the cool features on there. So, for myself, for Brian, for Rennie, this is the Pro Wrestling Review. We'll see you next week, Jim. And we'll see you fans next week.